In the ancient heart of the great Benin Kingdom, where bronze bells echoed through palace halls and warriors marched beneath banners stained by war, there lived a woman whose courage would one day shake the throne itself. Her name was Emotan. Traders knew her as the quiet market woman who sold food beside the royal road, but the spirits of the kingdom knew her for something far greater. They knew she carried the eyes of a hawk and the heart of a lion. It began on a night when the moon hid behind angry clouds, and the palace drums fell silent before their time. Across the kingdom, whispers slithered through dark corners like snakes in dry grass. Powerful chiefs, hungry for the throne, had grown tired of serving the young prince, who was destined to become Oba. They believed the kingdom needed a ruler they could control, a king whose ears would bend toward greed and whose hands would open their gates to corruption. Secret meetings began deep inside hidden chambers, lit by dying oil lamps. Oaths were sworn, swords were sharpened, and before the next sunrise, the conspirators planned to seize the palace, slaughter the loyal guards, and place a false ruler upon the sacred throne of Benin. But fate has strange ways of revealing evil. That same night, Emotan sat alone beside her small fire after the market had closed. The air felt heavy. Even the crickets had stopped singing. Then suddenly, footsteps approached through the darkness. A wounded palace messenger collapsed before her stall, blood soaking his wrapper. With his final breath, he revealed the terrible truth. The coup had already begun. For a moment, fear gripped Emotan's chest like iron chains. She was not a warrior trained with spears. She was not a chief with soldiers at her command. But she understood one thing clearly. If the prince died before dawn, the kingdom would drown in blood for generations. Without hesitation, Emotan wrapped herself in darkness and moved through the sleeping city like a shadow. She avoided the rebel patrols, crossed narrow alleys, and slipped through secret paths known only to traders and hunters. Every sound behind her felt like death breathing on her neck. As she neared the palace walls, she saw flames rising into the night sky. The coup had begun, earlier than expected. Loyal guards fought desperately, while traitors forced open the gates from within. Steel clashed against steel. Men screamed. Horses crashed into crowds as chaos swallowed the kingdom whole. Then Emotan did the unthinkable. Using an old hidden passage beneath the marketplace, she entered the palace grounds unseen. Deep inside the royal chambers, she found the young prince moments before assassins reached his door. His hands trembled. Outside, death marched closer with every heartbeat. "Your Highness," Emotan whispered, "the throne cannot die tonight." She disguised the prince in common clothing, covered his royal beads, and led him through the underground tunnel beneath the palace, while rebel warriors stormed the corridors above them. Dust rained from the ceiling. The walls shook with violence. One wrong step would mean capture and execution. But Emotan never slowed. Before sunrise, she safely escorted the prince beyond the city walls into the sacred forest, where loyal warriors still waited. And when morning finally came, the rebels discovered their greatest failure. The rightful heir had escaped. Days later, loyal forces returned with fury. The coup collapsed. The traitors were captured. And when the prince finally rose as Oba of Benin, he did not forget the woman who carried the kingdom upon her shoulders during its darkest night. To honor her bravery, Emotan's name was carved into the memory of Benin forever. Not as a queen, not as a warrior drenched in battle, but as something even greater. The ordinary woman who saved an empire when courage was all she had left.